Yeah, you know poetry dropping when the pen clicks, and poets get it popping with the pen click. You now rocking with Kuya David, the prime poetry prime minister. I am with my brother Daniel Hees, the chubby fat god. And today, you better check the scenario or end up in the burial, cause live out of Ontario, we got the wordplay wizard himself, Mr. Myron Dimitri Woods. Let's get it.
If this is your first time hearing this, you'd probably think it's a sex poem, but no. I assure you, it's a typical first date that no decent establishment would allow, which is probably why I've grown accustomed to taking all of my meals to the bedroom. Let's see. You see, I never get far before my Pitbull, his name is Samuel, before he starts snarling at my company. I tell her to stay to the bed because the floor is lava. Y'all remember that game we used to play? We'd jump on all the furniture. Your mama tell you, get your ass down. But you'd be like, but it's cute. And it was cute how puppy love would often bite us young to make us men mature into full-grown dogs, never having to consider the aftermath of sinking our teeth into bodies which do not belong to us. You know, now that I really think about it, Sam and I, we are a lot alike. I too have been told that I get comfortable with new people much too soon for any real pleasure. And how else am I to explain how every time I try to kiss her wounds, I only wound up licking them instead. How I sucked the infection out of her and replaced it with my own venom. Would you believe she mistook the poison for chivalry until it killed her? But then I realized that if you die in a dream, you immediately wake up. So immediately she woke up screaming with these claims that I killed her with my kindness. Needless to say, her story brought me to tears. And I couldn't help flooding the room with lies about I would never do such a thing. You see, she drank every drop until she was no longer sober. She kissed me and I became drunk, but it wasn't on love because as I had learned, it was far too early to be lip-locked with strangers. And that's when I knew I wasn't myself. Because when I looked in the mirror, I started growling. And when I looked back at her, we were both panting. She told me how cute I was just before she got lost in my puppy dog eyes, and I never saw her again until one day I was tied to a pole in front of a store. A sweet lady who looked just like her unleashed me. She asked me if I bite, but before either of us could respond, my teeth were already deep into her neck. She moaned from the pain, but I promised I would never hurt another lover, so I left. I went back to where I was once in prison, but there was a sign in the window. It read, "No dogs allowed." I walked in anyways and was asked to speak by the owner, and when I did, I must have said the magic words because I was now seated at this fancy diner. My date, she sat opposite of me, but I never saw her clearly because by the time I knew what I wanted, I looked across the table. She was already left over, so I took her home in a doggy bag and ate her on the bed. She ended up spilling all over the covers, and her scent was impossible to wash from the sheets, y'all. So all I could think to do was flip the mattress over trying, only to my surprise to find a lone starfish, yes, a starfish of all things, lying on my pillow. Like y'all are probably thinking, I couldn't help wonder how a critter so far from the sea ended up in my bedroom, and the anticipation must have killed him because he woke up and told me he was once just a piece of consolation. And somewhere along the lines, he ended up mistaking one ocean for another, and now he can only dream the sky went so shallow as to cast him back into the sea with all the other broken wishes. And it reminded me of Sam. And every once in a while, I'll see him lying down with his head bowed over crossed paws. You know, there's one time I was looking at him, though. I couldn't really tell if he was asleep or not. And, you know, maybe I'm just tripping because when I looked at him real hard, I could have sworn it was like he was praying. And all I could think to myself is, what could a dog possibly have to speak to God about?
Hey! God.
Get it, boy.
Myron Dimitri Woods in the cuts. Pen click cracking. What's up, Kuya?
Yeah. You know, I'm just chilling. I'm just blessed by this. Yo, you could tell off the rip that like this guy is slam ready because he already had only for an audience of 2 people. He's already doing the eye contact.
Yeah,
He's like doing the arm. It's like, man, go ahead, boy. It's like,
I see you.
He's slam ready, boy. It's like, what?
Gotta stay ready, you know? Stay ready, don't have to get ready.
There we go. That's why you here, Myron. That's why you here.
Thank you for inviting me, guys.
He's like one of those rappers that are like 5 verses in the back pocket just in case a cipher breaks out. He's like in the back of the airliner just like looking around. It's like, yo, where the cipher at?
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Well, welcome to the Pen Click, Myron.
Thank you.
Welcome everybody at home. We get it cracking. Pen Click is the most cracking poetry podcast in the world. I'm gonna say it.
Hey, you know what? It's good to be here. They're the most popping podcast in the world.
There we go.
Cosign.
There we go. Myron just gave us that. There we go.
Co-signing with the pen click. Yo, that's bars. That's levels, bro. That's levels.
Thank you.
First up on the game of every episode, we got Threads and Lines.
This is all first verse. You about to get this work.
So for the listeners at home, for Myron, Threads and Line is where Myron's going to spit some verse. He just did. Fire, bars. And me and David prompted it, and we pulled a couple little things from it, and we're going to break it down. We're going to find the finer points, the threads and lines that make this poem up, what make up these lines, if you will, even. Yeah. Kuya, what's up? You got thoughts?
Yeah.
You got something off the jump?
Right. Off the rip, it's like,
Hit me.
stylistically, okay, your wordplay is just like leagues above a lot who I would say that contemporaries.
All right.
Like a lot of slammers these days, they either do like a lot of tear jerking, where like, oh, let me tell you the sad shit, so let me emotionally prime you to vote for me, or on some like really bait, obvious metaphors, like, oh yeah, like this is about my life. My life is a high school, and every day I'm using my EBT for this like whack shit, and that's soul food, so that's food for thought. It's like, all right, bro, calm down, chill, bro. But now it's like you have like a lot of these like word association schemes, and
they're subtle.
They're subtle, but then but as you string them together back to back, it just adds up to a really ill collective sum of poetry. And like that poetic device that you use, or wordplay, is like so sharp. It's like not very seen. It's not seen a lot in this modern era of slamming. Like, who are your inspirations that kind of influence your style like that?
Oh man, that is probably the broadest question you could ask me. My inspirations, to be honest, I don't look to a lot of poets for inspiration. I look to other art forms, other medias within movies and television or hip hop or jazz. As far as the poetry scene, though, I have a lot of, I do have a few inspirations as Simply Cat. She pretty much like brought me up in the game, told me just to really be honest with my poetry. If you're not being honest, what are you doing?
Bless the guys, we see you.
Yeah, Simply Cat. Rudy Francisco is a big inspiration of mine. I really like his wordplay, and his really,
smart,
he's able to captivate an audience very well.
Word.
Just command the stage. Another inspiration of mine, I like some of my teammates from last year, Aman Batra and Keto Fortune.
Shout out to Keto God.
Yo,
Young Afro in the building.
Keto's I'm so excited about everything Keto's doing all the time.
One of my favorite poets, actually, definitely my like top 3. Okay, well, let me say
top 3 off the rip.
My top 3 would probably be Simply Cat, Rudy Francisco, and then Hanif Abdulakib.
Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how I pronounce it. I hope that's right. It's a complex name.
His style is so dope.
Culture. He's very subtle. He's been described when I've talked to other artists about him. He cuts a lot of the fat off. His poems are very lean, and I really appreciate that. They're hard to latch on to sometimes, but when you get it, when it clicks for you, you really appreciate it. And
you feel like you've done something.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as you said his name, I could like already see the link.
Yeah.
Because his narrative style, and like how yours was just like essentially a scenario, and you're breaking it down as you're making your realizations.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you, because I don't think I'm anywhere on that level yet of trying to write a story, make a story happen. But he's one of my inspirations. And then shout out to Super B.
Yeah, what's up, Super B? We
Shout
love
out
you,
Super B. Brian Bolivia, what up?
He's a friend of mine, and he's coached me through some things. He's mentored me some things, and I really, I'll be on YouTube looking at his poems all day, just how he sets a story up and just keeps it going.
Yeah, he's very rounded too. Like, he does all the things. He's emotive as well as clever, as well as like, you know what I'm saying? And you're similar in that vein. Like you word, you doing it, G. Because it is not only like a style thing, like listen to my voice and how I talk and how I present things. It's always nice whenever you could see that support the poetry and vice versa.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You have it's very apparent you have technical poetic craft.
Yeah,
some people it sounds like they're just reading an essay,
craft,
and it's like, nah, this guy's actually writing and spitting poetry, and that's super important.
Thank you. And that speaking of craft, that I would have to attribute to Beskett. So he told me to take a year or 2 off from slam, which is where I got my start, and work on your craft. Just work on writing, how you want to bring the story together. And I was like, well, I didn't want to do it. I did it. And
hey, we love you all. We're going to name drop everybody right now. You feel me?
I got a name drop when I can.
That's real talk, though. Is it a lot of contemporary stuff, obviously, that you're pulling from, or are you delving at all?
Yeah, it's both. I try to, one thing I was taught by my various mentors is pull inspiration from everything.
Right. Yeah, but as far as poetry, are you reaching back?
Yeah.
Are you using it? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you mean, am I reaching back as far as who I'm inspired by?
Yeah.
I'll hop on YouTube every once in a while. It's hard to get a hold of that stuff if you don't already know. I consider myself a very contemporary or modern artist.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
And so
Especially because you said he pulls off YouTube.
Yeah,
not
word.
a poetrymagazine.com or anything. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not going to go through the search terms and write the word joy and see how many joy poems come out of 1943. Nah, off that.
Yeah, it's like
YouTube, son. If it's not on YouTube, it don't exist.
That's not true. I grew up watching Def Jam poetry.
Right.
However,
Yeah.
to pull something from there in my 20s is like, that's hard. I wouldn't know any names. To me, it was just watching a show, like watching DBZ or something. Like,
Yeah, word. No, I feel you.
even though I can rember that, but yeah.
Right.
And
So I
plus,
can look back.
we all come from that ilk, that school. Like that's really what hit us all. Like, oh,
Right.
what's up?
Right.
Well, moving on. Yeah, like
Mhm.
my favorite part of the poem. Again, back to like that same story because we have this like dog metaphor that plays through the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked how you use the dog metaphor and an equal, not derogatory, you know what I'm saying, or deprecating, but not in a celebratory manner, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, because we do a lot of that. We do.
And it
So-
wasn't just using a metaphor for the sake of doing a metaphor. It was
Yeah.
well used.
Yeah, word,
throughout.
word. And one of my favorite parts of that, because it was subtle, again, it wasn't like straight hit him with like, I'm a dog, was the doggy bag line. Like
Yeah.
low key, I looked across the table and she was already leftovers, so I took her home in a doggy bag. Gee. So like, and when I saw that, like I pictured that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when you looking at a girl and you cooking her in that seat, like, oh, we on our second date and you don't even know, girl.
Yo, and eating around the bed is like getting slapped. Like, yo.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. So what is that? Is that like as blatant as we think it is? Is it? Is there more to it? Is there more metaphor?
And, yo,
there?
and you know, no dry stitching or anything, but you know, you could just like, you could imply things.
Are
know?
you
It's like-
adding to the dog metaphor there, or
are
we
you pulling?
like? Yeah, yeah.
You're pulling from
word,
experience right here.
word. Yeah.
To be honest,
No names. We're going to bleep them out.
to
if we
be
do.
honest,
Right.
no. When I write my poetry, this is like a thematic for all of them, for all of my poetry. Is yes, I'm pulling from something, but it may not be literal.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
And so,
Or your experience.
you know, of
Right.
course, it's not literal. I'm not, you know, taking a girl home in a doggy bag. Like I'm not a murderer.
Well,
of course,
sometimes,
that you know, some
like-
people do that. But when I say it's not literal, it's I don't mean that had to be my exact experience for me to write about it. Not to say it's a lie or a truth. To me, there's a thread in between that to where in that thread I call story. And so
Yeah, word.
for me to say something like that, what's my purpose in a line like that is to get you to get that image, and for you to say, I saw her across the table, I saw the whole scene. To me, it's like, what does that scene represent? That represents exactly what you said, how we could be on a date and counting our chickens before they hatch, jumping the gun and saying like, oh, this girl, oh, she's laughing or doing whatever girls do on the dates, or you know, vice versa. And then there's a point in time in that meeting that you're like, oh, I got her.
Yeah.
I got
and
it.
you know,
And
That
she may not
switch.
know it,
Got
but
a lot.
I do. And I don't want to say, you know, I'm player. I do that all the time or something. That's not the purpose of the poem. It's to say that it may be a thought of mine. That may be a thought of mine, and
Word.
sometimes it works in my favor. Sometimes it works in her disfavor. And you know, it
and
just is
going-
what it is.
Going back to like what I said about the dog metaphor, it isn't like celebratory in the same way, and it isn't like deprecating. It's kind of like just facts. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, there is that moment when you know in the moment when you're on a date or there's potential for anything physical to happen. Like, all right,
Exactly.
this is gonna happen, and that's undeniably real. And like, it's a weird machismo. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird dance to have to recognize that and like not necessarily condone or celebrate it. Like,
Yeah.
it is just facts.
Right. It's like what Jay-Z said. It's not a real song. It's just a real song.
Yeah,
Yo,
word,
shout out to
word.
Myron for doing the whole like rapper thing of like, oh no, those were just lyrics, officer. It's like, that's not actually, I didn't actually go off the whip and bust shots. That's just lyrics, bro. That's just lyrics, bro. It's
Entertainment.
just a rap. It's just entertainment. Yeah.
It's just entertaining.
It's like, so when you ask him like, yo, did that really happen? It's like, oh, that's story. Okay. Poetic license.
you know.
Bars. That's threads and lines. That's the science of that piece. What's that piece called, Myron?
It's called Pitbull. That is part 2.
Full part 2.
sure. Time.
Yeah. Moving on off of threads and lines into the 2-piece.
Yes, sir.
Two-piece.
The first one is Anish Mojgani. It's
Here
from
am
the-
I.
Yeah, Here Am I. It's from the 2006 Seattle Grand Slam, which I'm not sure if he won or not, but he did pretty well. Yeah, we want to watch it real quick, and then we're going to break it down. You can watch it at home. There's a few different ones, but if you type in Anish Mojgani 2006 Grand Slam, Seattle, Here Am I, all that stuff's accessible. All that stuff will get
You'll
you
find
there.
it.
Yeah. So we're going to watch a video and break it down.
We all wanted that high school sweetheart. We wanted to be young in the 50s with meatloafs and sock hops and lawns.
Shout out to like the Windows Maker like comic filter that's on top of the video.
Yeah, word.
This video's what, 2008 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Shout out.
Lawns so perfect they looked like Clark Gable was kissing them. We wanted to be 13 and alive and meet a girl that was 13 and alive and walk with her past the grandstands, to sit and hold hands with, to sit and kiss with, to sit and sit with, like it was something that you would miss, but that never was. We once went to bed like between the bed sheets was a valley where dinosaurs still breathed. And how we capture these triceratops and brontosauruses, but even they were opened up with the smoke that rose out of the homes.
And it's unfortunate too because that's like a really good like setup.
Streets and the football.
Like that's the beginning of like the losing your childhood bit in this poem.
Right.
The between the bed sheets there was a valley where dinosaurs. And like it's unfortunate that he messes it up because I feel like that whole setup.
Right, and when I saw it on another video, I was like,
"Yeah, so effective."
It made much more sense. I'm like, oh, that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
this is like so. It's interesting that you pointed out because I totally missed that like on the first 2 or 3. Yeah, the setup because he goes into this other part that he's about to get into, and like I'll talk about that once he gets into
which we once threw, the school desks upon which we once drew, the windows that sat open through which we once flew before the outside world of parking spaces and dead friends came flooding on in, and we forgot what we wanted, and we became what we become. Waitresses
and that
and
right there,
bartenders.
So we
City
forgot what we
employees
wanted, and we became what we become. Gee. So effective and like so like poetry whenever you can condense it and it's powerful like that, like you know what I'm saying, that's the point.
This was like an ill like I guess like midpoint to his poem that I wish he like circled back to, because by the end of the poem, spoiler alert, by the end of the poem, like he's just talking to a kid. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna be all right because you still have the rest of your life to do. Yeah, but what about the guy? Like, what about the waitress who's still in the dead end job? Like in the middle of the piece, it's like, yo, you're trying to give like people that are at that point in their life hope, but now you're just kind of like, let me off this. Let me just give this little kid hope. Like, oh, I fucked up, but you didn't fuck up yet. So let me tell you, Hov did that. So hopefully you won't have to go through that. Yeah,
there is kind of a callback though. We'll get there.
Right.
We'll get there.
Positions. We are junkies and one kiss poems, and we cry the stars. As we write our scars onto dumpsters and electric boxes, because the only thing that we can hear is our hearts, and the only ones listening are the streets, to the blood that breathes, to the letters we leave, and we dream to rise ourselves up out of these burning buildings, but instead we get buried somewhere beneath, because I know my life, it's like some high school kid's notebook. That high school kid that shuffles back and forth between school and home, stacking the letters and the pictures too close for anyone outside of his own imagination to read, because it's through the ink that his heart beats, that his heart breathes, and we all just wanted to write these notes.
That was a cool punchline. Like the ink, heart breathes, heart, and then like the ink is what the heart breathes, and then writes. So the words that we write. That was cool, but it's like I wish he kept on continuing that metaphor. Word. It's like I was telling you this in the car, like on the way.
But then he cuts it into like the note writing bit, you know what I'm saying,
right.
And like rehumanize, like and poignancy, bring him back to earth, reality. I like him because he takes you there, you know what I'm saying. He lets it breathe, takes you to like poetry, outer space, the ethereal world of poetry, and then brings you right back, like boom, like all that heart talk, you know what I'm saying, and the ink and this and that, and then he goes into this, which is like. We all wanted to write those notes.
And he goes into his next scenario that paints
check if you don't. Check if you'll date me. Check if you won't. Because we all wanted the love songs to be true. And we did love dinosaurs once. And we wanted the stars to hold our hands, to lick the teeth, to fuck us. But they ended up fucking us. So let your smile twist. Like my heart dancing precariously on the edge of my fingertips, staining them like that same high school kid licking his thoughts using his Sharpie tip, writing, I was here. I was here, motherfucker. And ain't none of y'all can write that in the spot that I just wrote it in.
Yes.
I'm here, motherfucker. And we all here, motherfucker.
Yo, shout out to the
and we all motherfuckers.
All right.
Because every breath I give brings me a second closer to the day that my mother may die. Because every breath I take
so that
takes
whole,
me a second
like,
further.
Motherfucker. Myron, how do you feel about like cursing in slam, bro.
I love it. And
you know how I feel about this.
Yeah. And you know my style in
Right.
poetry, and I do that a lot. I motherfucker a lot in poetry, and I get that, I think, to some degree from the God. But I'm just going to say, before you answer, Myron, I love me a good motherfucker in poetry.
I know you do. I don't mind it. When I started in slam, I was cursing all day.
Yeah.
This and that. And so I initially viewed it as a primitive form of expression.
Right.
Yeah,
But
emotive.
it's like, but
They're emotive words.
yeah, I didn't care for it as I guess matured as an artist, but so I tried to keep it out of my poetry as much as I can, but
Would you say that
sometimes
was
it's called for. But yeah,
We all motherfuckers.
we're all different. Yeah,
Nah.
motherfuckers.
Off that.
I thought that was okay because like he keeps doing like what you said earlier. He keeps doing this thing where he brings it up. He like transcends just this earth of this menial life.
Yeah.
And then he'll like bring it back down to remind you. And then that was like the frustration bit of it. It was the saying like, man, fuck this. Like the stars fucked us. And then, but we were here. Yeah, we all fucked up. We were here though. And nobody could put my spot in that name. Like he took it back to high school or middle school where it was like really just about pride.
Yeah.
About being the baddest mofo on the playground or on the basketball court in high school. And he's like, it was an immature but vulnerable moment. And that's why
That's a good way to
appreciated
think
that.
about it. Okay.
And that is what he's trying to convey. And he does that successfully, and there might not be another successful way to do it. You know what I'm saying? To convey that like that aggression, that like youthful, ignorant aggression, that like motherfucker.
Yeah, I want to be
aggression,
taken seriously. Motherfucker this, motherfucker that. And it's
But,
like,
I hate it when young poets do that because it's hella bait. It's like there's always like audience pop like, oh, she said motherfucker. It's like, oh, bro.
I've seen poems with the F word being used like throughout the whole poem.
Whack. When they do it, well, you could tell like sometimes
to me, it's style.
Some
difference.
poets do it specifically for the
for the
audience
shock.
pop.
Yeah, that's whack.
So whack.
I don't think. I mean, you could always make that argument, but I don't think he did that to be like, wow. He did it to point out the immaturity in it. And
exactly. I think he was like again displaying some part of youth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, we gotta get going.
From the moment she caught my father's eye, because every word I carry is another stone to put into place, and the foundation that I'm building these days in a race, something that I never saw. What all of us wanted and what none of us got. What we all had and have and what we all forgot. That we all wanted to be something. That we all became something. And it might not be the shit you want to be when we were kids, but something is still something. And like some cats say, something's better than nothing. Feet are smarter than an engine, and dreams are stronger than thighs. And questions are the only answers we need to have through the weeds of lives. A time when I have the mind of a child.
Feet are stronger than engine, and dreams are faster than or something along those lines.
Something's stronger than thighs.
He said feet are longer than inches, right?
Stronger than engines. And,
dreams are stronger. Why don't you like that line?
I just didn't like. I've never liked it. This is one of my favorite poems ever, but I've just never really felt it. I will say though, he does say at one point, second farther from the first time my mother caught my father's eye, and that's like bars as fuck. Like your actual conception starts the first time your fucking pop sees your mom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And everything in your life is just taking you farther from that.
Exactly, yeah.
Asking why is 2 + 3 always equal to 5? Where do people go to when they die? What made the beauty of the moon and the beauty of the sea? Did that beauty make you? Did that beauty make me? Will it make me something? Will I be something? Am I something? And the answer comes. Already am, always was, and I still have time to be.
Hey, bless the God. Anish Mojgani, 2006 Seattle Grand Slam. Here am I. What's up, Myron? You got thoughts on this?
Let me see. What do I have thoughts on? Because it's hard for me to break things down line by line. So the poem as a whole, I liked it as it was just a message of don't stop dreaming, even when you feel like you're at a dead end. I think that's a simple but effective message. And I think, I don't know what the poem scored or anything, but I would
Speaking of score, out of 10, how would you score?
I hate scoring poems.
Come on.
I don't like to do that.
We all do here. It's part of the pen and click.
I would give it
decimal points for ties.
8.6.
Okay. All right. So if you saw that live, you would give that an 8.
Yeah, if I saw it live, I give it an 8.6. And that's for the message. That was for a good delivery. I mean, that was also factoring in. He stumbled and kind of made me miss the intro a little bit.
Yeah, which was a big setup. That was a big setup.
Yeah, you don't want to take off points for that, but it is a performance thing.
Well, when somebody has a callback and they fuck up the setup as well, it's like
what's going on?
That could have been tight.
But it's two fuck ups. Like you can nail the callback, but if you fucked up the setup, then the callback's not as shiny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so I thought it was a good. I thought he did stylistically. I thought he did well in bringing that big grand scheme of us accomplishing our dreams and looking at the stars, and then it's like, but the stars fell down on us and like tears, and we cried, and or he did. I don't think he said that, but that's how I imagined it. Stars falling, we make a wish, and we're crying on the stars falling because our wishes aren't coming true. And he sets that up for a little bit, and then he brings it back down to the happy, and then ultimately he ends it. And what you said with talking just to the child, and Daniel saying he called back, he was talking to the child to let them know, even if you see the stars falling around you and no wishes are being granted, keep making those wishes. That's what he's saying to the child. To the person who's grown above that,
he doesn't even address him. It's like,
he does. Yeah, he does address him. That was the callback.
Okay,
he's
so
saying you are still something.
The waitress still have time to be. You know what I'm saying? The motherfucker always was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the callback. Like that is he addresses all three. Every story arc is wrapped up in that final line.
Yeah, he's making.
That's what I think. Right?
He's making sure we don't go into. There's like that saying. I don't know what's worse, a young pessimist or an old optimist.
Yeah,
he's trying to hit that. I keep hitting it. He's trying to hit that middle line of like, make sure you don't fall into any of these.
Yeah.
So I thought it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, word. And one thing like that can be said about the poetry community does offer us all some sense of empowerment. And that always was sentiment is like super powerful to me. Like that idea of like, no, you've always been powerful. You've always had the potential to do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? You always a star. You always shine in every day. Always. Yeah. So that shit, I literally have that tattooed on my body.
A really important.
Facts. He has that ink on his flesh.
Yeah, I literally have always was tattooed on my body. Because we see you in place. Like, damn, you're going to get us.
You gotta shed some more light for this poem for me. Like I was about to give it like a heart.
We got him.
I was about to give it like a high 6 something, but I would now give it like a 72. So,
I'm gonna say 10. I'm gonna say 10.
And that's what the beauty of slam. There is no interpretation. You get what you get.
Like, yo,
this is on my chest.
Some people like Hobson, and some people understand that
Hobson for real.
And some people know that Lil B is the god, So like,
thank you, Bass God.
Thank you, Bass God.
If I saw this live, I would give this a 10. This is up my alley, though.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, this is how I write, and this is the shit that I like.
Yeah,
I like that, like, no, you wrong and right at the same time, motherfucker. Sit down and stand up at the same time, motherfucker. Be love and forceful at the same time, motherfucker, because we all just on some, like, dumb shit. Y'all don't know nothing. Yeah. Nobody knows nothing. Yeah. And we all just trying to figure it out, so let's get there together.
Exactly.
And you're dope. Yes. Even if I don't agree, even if I don't see you, you dope. Yeah. And like he always does that with his work. It's very like
Mr. Daniel over here, he was the one that suggested this poem. This is my opinion. I could see why, because stylistically I see a lot of that inspiration in his own writing. But I think Daniel does it way better because like your narrative it definitely is much more cohesive, is what I'm saying. Giving you props at the same time.
Not everybody's gonna get it.
This is also 11-year-old poem, so you know what I'm saying?
Not everybody's gonna get it.
Bless God, we love you.
All right. Johnny.
On to the second piece, the little piece of the two beat, the Lil Punch. David is going to pull something from Instagram, #poetry, and we're going to review that now.
It's going to be an actual poem, not a poem of a roomy tattoo line that you have. It's like, check out my body of work. It's not bars, bro.
Or not a misquote of some other classic poem. We see you all out there.
So today's poem comes from user Herbert Sona, HerbertSona. Yo, and she actually dropped the pin on him. She actually put her location, Ballard Farmers Market, straight out of Ballard Farmers Market, everyone. All right.
That's right.
Bars at the market.
Yo, what?
We'll find out.
Barbers Market.
All right.
Oh, bars right here, Myron. Jesus.
All right, and it goes. Perpetual movement of universal currents, upheaval, earth shifting and cracking open, changes vast and varied. Seek deep-rooted stability, from the sacrum in the core. Remember your origins in vacuous space. All is transforming endlessly. You are eternal. M7 Bremer, 617.
All right.
What does that mean?
So I feel it like on that like a lot of times whenever I'm stressed or I'm having like high anxiety, I'll stop myself and be like, gee, there's planets exploding right now. There's literally like things colliding into each other and engulfing each other and then imploding and making some new explosion. And like that's happening right now.
That's a stressful process.
Yeah. And that's happening like in the universe right now. Whole planets are exploding.
Huh.
Not gonna lie, I think.
And it brings me peace. Like, oh, okay.
I think
like,
if this
your
poem-
problems are fine.
Right.
Your planet is not exploding.
That's
You're just worried
not what I
because
was thinking
you're
about.
broke.
That's not what I thought you meant by that.
No, yeah.
I
Like,
think that like the entire first 3/4 of the poem could have been removed. The last 3 lines are the meat of it. Remember your origins in vacuous space. All is transforming endlessly. You are eternal.
yeah.
Like, those last 3 lines.
That's kind of how I felt.
That
as
would have
well.
been tight. But then like you just pat on all this extra shit. It's like, yo, you can only put so much sriracha on a pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was a point where I was like, what? We're again another one? Like crack your nerd. Like how many explosions are you gonna describe right now?
Yeah, I was
Alright, so-
definitely lost in that first. I'm not a good listener, to be honest, when it comes to stuff. I've always admitted that to myself. If I'm listening to a poem and you don't capture me immediately
Right.
with the
This is
point,
definitely
really,
more of a literary thing that you'd have to read
yeah,
on the toilet.
I can't
now and
latch
then.
on. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. That's when the poem. I don't know if I'll say that's when it started, but that's when I really started paying attention. It was just words at first.
Myron out of 10.
Out of 10, too short. It was okay. No, if it was a slam piece, which is usually 2.5 minutes to 3.
It's a 2-piece piece, bro.
If it was a slam piece, I'd give it like a 4.
Like if it was a short form,
If it was a
so it's
haiku
short-
at the-
All right, so if we're just like just busting off like short form shots,
Limericks.
then- yeah, facts. Then you
If
give
we're
it.
doing that, I'd give it probably like a 6.5, 7.
Yo, if there was
All right.
I wouldn't be mad at a short form slam. That would be tight.
oh, that would be tight. Minute
Yeah.
slam.
Yeah,
Minute
yo,
slam back to back 6 rounds. What?
that'd be bars.
We see you.
All
Double
right.
bracket.
I like that
double
too.
elimination.
It's like the short story to the novel. It's like
Yeah.
So Myron gives it a
fit
6
this
out of
stuff.
10, Mr. Daniel Hees.
I'm gonna hopefully they actually wrote this at a farmer's market. So I'm gonna give them a little bit more credit for that. Like if you wrote this on the rip, I feel you.
Yeah,
If you went home and wrote this and then emailed it to yourself and then like, you know what I'm saying, like had it, then But I'm gonna pretend that they wrote this at the farmer's market just on the rip because they saw some wild
Right.
shit. And I'm gonna let that influence me a little bit. I'm gonna say a 7.5.
I gotta think, if they wrote this at the farmer's market, what do you think
they did
inspired
it.
them?
Yo, all right, so check it out.
all day.
What do you think
I
inspired them
I
at
think
the farmer's
somebody-
market?
I think somebody was just like selling poems off of like really cute cards. So I don't think the person who posted this she
So
bought
they bought this.
she bought this poem. Which I'm sorry for you,
Garbage
girl.
then.
Yeah.
4. If you're selling this, G, I'd be giving away fire all day. You want some free fire poetry?
Talk that
you can
shit.
put it on all your cards. Go to danieljhees.wordpress.com. Print whatever the fuck you want. You're
Yeah.
gonna sell that shit? 4.
Yo,
4.
Yeah, that was my score.
I was about to, bro, I was about to go for it, but yo, I'll give it a 4 or 5. 5.
Scared Kuya a little bit.
Because yo, it's like the last 3 lines was like, okay, like I
Yeah.
really like those last 3
It just
lines.
didn't
Yeah,
need the
on a
intro, the
towel.
build up.
Yeah, on a towel or on a Pinterest post
towel.
or
Yeah, something you give your mama for Mother's
right,
Day.
facts, or
Oh, man.
or on a girl's on a girl's IG caption when she's like
yeah.
drinking coffee and she takes a picture of her hand
Ooh.
of the coffee mug. It's like
That
yeah,
workout inspiration.
yeah, facts. Yo, that would have been a hot IG.
That would be a
caption.
nice caption, yeah.
Yeah, facts.
Motivators. I like that.
Yeah, but you selling this? I mean, get you, do you? I guess.
It's
before.
not
Come on,
nice
get
enough
outta
to pay for.
here. Jeez Louise. That's the 2-piece, y'all.
Yes, sir.
That
And
is the
The
2-piece.
2-piece.
See, Daniel had words, but you know who else got words? Mr. Myron over here. We are about to get into our 5 for your eyes. 5 for your eyes when we give a 5-word prompt to our esteemed guest poet, and they create a
The
poem
God.
from those 5 words. And those 5 words are, Mr. Daniel Hees.
We got reach. We got punch. We got dark. We got pierce. And we got cook, y'all. Cook.
Okay.
Cooking. Thank you, bass god.
Hey.
Well, let you know this is pretty difficult. Okay, well, here we go. In the summer of 1970, sat on a Mississippi bus 4 young ladies, except it was less of a bus, more of a river, carrying the children to a city of lost angels. I suppose they were searching for a paradise of their own, somewhere to lay their heads besides on each other's shoulders. One more week never hurt nobody, they told themselves, as hope cradled them through the darkness, blind to wherever they would land. 10 years later, winter snow blanketed 5 boys in Detroit. It was the only warmth they knew when the leftover grease sat still over the stove, allowing the rats to pretend immortalization in the wet concrete. They knew not to move so quickly as to let the dream slip away. Cold but never frozen, Grandma told them, as the ice simmered into a fry. If potatoes could cook themselves into a meal under these conditions, then there must be hope for us out there somewhere. This must have been the same year old girl quit nursing school to drive the bus, that of which so many like myself have sat on in search of redemption. I suppose keeping lives just isn't as fulfilling as letting them go. Talk about loyalty. Here they always come back, she must have told herself. That's because we lived through enough surprises, so don't mind if we take us a seat in comfort. Let someone else take the wheel for a change. Only Lord knows where this road will take me in the summer of 2017. I swear it don't get no hotter than this, as my well-greased scalp simmers in the sun. Fresh ideas like fish beneath the waves and pops up fresh meals, fat enough to feed an entire city. Boy, I swear to God, if it ain't the lines that punch you, then it must be the drum piercing through the ears of generations. It sounds like... And even in the thick of the snow, we keep on melting it like hot oil, and the nurse never checks our pulses because she can see a struggle so real you can reach out and touch it. And I'll be sitting on that same bus right in the middle of 2 lifetimes and just behind 1,000 journeys. So your biggest fear is history repeating itself. Mine is not having a story to tell, but you can stop me if you heard this one before.
Hey, bless
Yo!
Myron Woods.
Sorry for the
That's
slips.
5 for your eye, G. Oh my goodness gracious.
The wordplay wizard in the building, live in effect, bro.
I like that.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
I like that.
Wow. Y'all feel that? Y'all feel that? You feel that, Myron?
Wrote it. I have to.
All right. Fire.
So, yo,
fire.
I want to be cooking this if y'all didn't think you'd like it, bro.
Well, welcome, man. It was dope having you. That's
Man,
the tank.
thank you guys so
officially
much.
You officially in. They can find you on the internet on Instagram at Woods You Kindly.
At Woods You Kindly. That's my handle for all the social media, but mostly I'm active on Instagram. So just do Instagram.
It's a WOODS Woods UYOU Kindly. KINDLY.
That's right.
Woods
Yeah.
You Kindly. So
Pass the
clever.
manners around.
Even
His
clever
name's
in the
bars,
IG.
bro. Go ahead.
Myron
badass self.
Dimitri Woods. In the
Hello.
cut. In the cut.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
thank you, Kuya. What's up? Killing the game.
Y'all know what it is? Yo,
What's up?
follow
Poetry
us
gang?
on Facebook,
What you
on
know?
Instagram,
Pen
at
Clique.
PenClique, PENCLIQUE.
Doing it.
Yes, sir.
Bless Prime Poetry League.
Yes, sir. You know, like PenClique, Prime Poetry is like, what's one?
Yeah,
Pretty much
yeah,
more or
yeah,
less.
yeah,
But
yeah.
trying to get things, trying to work
Go
with our
keep
guests.
everything
Yes,
though.
sir.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all dope.
Yeah,
It's all
word.
dope.
Go on YouTube, type in Myron Dimitri Wood. There's stuff on there. Type in everything I'm doing. Go check out Chubby Fat, thechubbyfat.com, at thechubbyfat, DanielJHees.everything.com, WordPress, Bandcamp, doing it. We appreciate you, Star. Getting
I
it.
appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for having me so much.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for listening. We love you.
Hey, y'all watch the PenClique on YouTube, so y'all know what to do.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, ride, survive.
Thank y'all.
Love y'all.